Alright, so this is Snow Leopard video 2. If you haven't seen video 1, you can go back and start watching video 1. That's where I first start drawing the snow leopard from scratch. If you already watched the first one, I'm glad that you're hanging in there with me, and let's get right to it. Alright, we're back. We're just gonna clean this guy up. It's looking pretty good. So basically I'm just cleaning up the sketch a little bit, just to make it easier when I do the line work. But I'm pretty good with that. That should be enough. Alright, so let's move him over a little bit. I don't really need him that much right now. Okay, so oops. So I'm going to make another layer above that. Sketch. Lines. Alright. Black. Alright, so I'm going to make this sketch layer light. And I'm going to lock it just so I don't draw on it by accident. You know what? I'm going to do a different, I'm going to do Disney ink. I haven't done that in a while. Disney ink is just it's a different brush. It kind of has a different look to it. And we're just going to have some fun doing the line work for this guy. And I don't have to stick directly to the I don't have to stick directly to the sketch. You kind of just have to go with what looks good and what works. You know what? I'm gonna not do the I'm just gonna do the lips, and I'll do the teeth. I'll do the teeth afterwards because I don't like doing line work for teeth. It always looks funny. I need to speed this up though, because sometimes I can get kind of bogged down with the the details, and honestly, a lot of times things look better if I do them faster, as weird as that sounds. And kind of let yourself get into like a little flow, you know. You know, you can kind of take a look back at him, you know, if you think you want to just, you know, if you want to make sure you got something right, but otherwise just get into a flow, you know, trust your sketch. And the reason why I keep doing all these all that line work like that is because they're very furry. So, alright, looks pretty good. Alright, so pretty fluffy here. Too many random lines there. And they're big mitts. Alright, and then you have this little belly. And his little leg in the snow. And his huge fluff tail. And for these, I find it better to just kind of go with the flow. You know, you don't always have to match it like 100%. Just kind of get a nice flow going. Keep it loose. His head is still a bit big. Let's see, I might want to shrink his head a little bit. I probably won't stick with this because I think it looks pretty good the way it is, but I'm such a perfectionist. Does that look better? Or does that look better? Alright, if I can't figure it out, then I'll just shrink it a little tiny bit. That's what I do. If I can't make a decision, since I'm trying to do this a little bit quickly, then I'll go halfies on it. There we go. And I'm going to make his mitts a little bigger. This is mostly just for fun. I mean, they have huge paws, but why not? Make his tail a little fluffier. Alright. Okay, so let me do his little do a little bit of his little clawsies. Alright, so that's pretty good now. So we can color that in. Alright, so I kinda wanna I'm gonna do a new layer, and I'm just gonna I'll stick with the same brush. So basically I just wanna open this back up. I'll make it smaller. I'll name this BG. Yeah, I'll use the same brush, whatever. Alright, so I'm just going to do a quick just a little rudimentary background. Might use it, might not, but just so it has some context. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, but we have it just so he makes sense in the space. Alright, so I'm going to turn that layer off and go back to this layer. So, underneath the line layer, I'm going to go back to my orange color and color this guy in. Same way that I always color in. I skip the nose, the eyes, and the mouth, and I'm going to speed this up because this is just coloring. one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do his head, and then I'm going to do a different layer underneath for his body. So if I want to just color something or change something on his face, I don't have to worry about going outside of the lines when we do some of the next steps. So resume speed. Why do you play with my, why do you play with my mind? Said we'd be forever, said it never die. Oh, that was terrible. Why do you love me and leave me and never say goodbye? When I can't sleep at night without holding you tight, girl, each time I try, I just break down and cry. Pain in my hand, oh, I'd rather be dead, spinning around in the road. Although we've come end of the road, can't let go. It's a niche you belong. Oh. Alright, now for some coloring. How do we want to color this guy? He's not completely white. I mean, I could make him white, but how do I want to color this guy? So he's sort of white underneath, but then he's like a brownish. Let me color his head white because he looks funny. It's like a brownish. Let's see what he has on him. Okay, so he's like a kind of like a tannish brownish. Let's go with that. And we'll select his body shape. and then we'll make a new layer. So I selected his body, made a new layer above that, and that way I can basically just paint that color on. Paint that color on the outer layers. Sort of like this. I know it's dark, but I'm just gonna. I always start with whatever the main color is, which is white, which is kind of underneath, and then I do the tannish over top of that. Yeah, that's pretty much his whole back, except for this little stomach area. And then he's tan on like the outside of his arms, but it gets whiter on the inside of his arms. So it looks like it kind of goes like this, has a little bit of that, and then it looks like he's tan here, and then the underside of his muffs, the underside of his mitts seem to be white. So it seems to be something kind of like that. It's not bad. I'm trying to figure out if I want to fluff him up. I might want to fluff him up. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of the lines on his body to a similar color to this, but like a darker brown. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to alpha lock the lines, and then I'm just going to change the lines on his body. Because black is very black. I know that sounds weird, but it's very dark. And it just gives a very specific look when you have black, and when you change that, it totally changes so much about the drawing. In my experience, like changing the outline color is such a simple thing, but it really changes. It really changes the style of an artwork. Yeah, I'll make this brown as well. I'm going to leave the lip, the underside of his muzzle. I'm going to leave all that black, and I'm going to leave his eyes black. I'll make that little line black too. Okay. Like so. Alright. Zoom this in some. Alright, so what's next? It's kind of a lighter. He's almost, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to select his body again, and then I'm going to do another layer underneath it. I'm going to make it lighter than this color. Almost more yellowish. I'm just going to do the, should I do fade? Let's see what that looks like. You know what? I might fluff him up. I might fluff him up. I kind of want to fluff him up. Let me do smudge on the first color we did. Let me smudge this and see how it looks. So I'm using the blur. I'm using the airbrush. On the first batch of color. I just want to see how that looks. Man, if I fluff them up, it's going to take forever, though. But I kind of want to. Alright, for now, I like the way this looks, though. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna merge these, and we're gonna do some fluffing. I think we might do some fluffing. Okay, so I merge those colors, and then I have to do another color on top of that for his black markings. But we're not going to make them black. We'll just make them a really dark orangish black. And I love making these like markings on them. I think it's so much fun. Because there's really no wrong way. As long as it looks, as long as you have the right paintbrush. Like I'm using Graffiti 1 just because it's you know, it's nice and it's pressure sensitive, and it kind of gives me these sort of organic shapes that I really love. So he sort of has, it's almost like, almost like circles, and they sort of branch out here. And his tail just kind of goes dark here. Right? Oh, I guess it's the shadow too. Yeah. I guess it's the shadow that's also making that dark. Now, do I want to do... I don't know. You know what? If that's the shadow, I'm going to wait on that. If that's the shadow, then I'm just going to assume that maybe these maybe the markings go back like that, and then they This is a little, I don't really know how to do what's happening here. It's almost like, you know what, we'll just do like, let's see, how do I want to tackle this? Well, it's almost like almost like they kind of like... I'm gonna have to fade these because they're not this dark, of course. So I'll have to fade those to kind of get them to match a little bit. That's okay. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. I just wanted to fade some of these out because they're just not so prominent here. So we'll just lighten them up a little. And then what we'll do is we'll take this, we'll alpha lock it, and then we'll kind of go in the middle and just sort of spot, darken the whole thing up. Because there's a few little areas that are darker. A little darker under here. Go back to the erase, and then we'll go back to, because these are also a little lighter here. They're just not as dark until they get further up. They seem to like. Okay, I think that's all right for now. For this step. I'm gonna make him I'm going to put a little touches of, is this alpha locked? Yeah. So I'm going to put little touches of a little more yellow in his tail. Just little touches of yellow. Little touches here. Okay, that's good. I didn't even do his head yet. I gotta work on that head. Okay. Okay, so for his head, we're just gonna do I'm going to select his head. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a layer above it. And then I'm going to color in what's definitely brown. I'll just go with this all in, that's fine. Alright, and there's a little white underneath, oops, underneath that bit, so we'll leave that for now. I think that looks pretty good. And then we'll do the same thing underneath, and we'll use a lighter color, and we'll sort of, let's airbrush underneath. Let's see how that looks. Okay. How did I color in his eye? Did I do that? No, it's just matching the, okay, it's just matching the page. I was gonna say, how the heck did I color in his eye? That's weird. You know what? I kind of just want to... No, I can't do that. I committed. Okay, that's fine. Let me just do some lines on... So I'm going to select his head again. I'm going to do another layer above, and then I'm going to do his lines. Is this the dark orange color? Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm not quite happy with the way this looks. It's not like sufficiently cartoony enough. That's a little better. Alright, that's a little better. I'm a little more happy with that. Okay, so back to what I was doing before. Select the head shape and then make a new layer. And then go back to the dark color so I can make some stripes on this guy. Oops. We'll lower the size of this because his head seems to have very small patterns. So he has one pattern here which I love. It's so pretty. And he has like a bunch of little this is just a bunch of little dots. And that sort of bleeds over into that. Okay, so let's try to match that here. So he has all these little specks that sort of build up that. I love drawing these things, man. This makes him look so cool. Alright, what else does he have? So they have almost like specks. He has some specks here. the size a little bit. There's some specks here. And specks on his little muzzle, where his little whiskers are. Do those look weird? They look kind of weird. They do look kind of weird. I don't mind those, but maybe he just needs like... Yeah, I think the lines look better. He doesn't actually need the specks, so I'm just going to substitute the specks out for those lines. A little bit of darkness around the ridge of the ears is a little darker. Alright, now all these little shapes. Oh, let me pause this. Alright, that's the end of video 2. Thanks for sticking with me. Let's move right on to video 3 and let's see this thing to the end. Let's see this thing to the end. I can't even talk. Alright, next video.